Good evening, everybody. This is Model Railroad Addict coming to you with layout update number 3. If you watched my earlier video from this morning, I showed you the dismantling and removal of all the bench work at the other house, and I have gotten it all over here. The majority of it is up in the garage. I've got a few pieces down here. As you can see, I've already got one section up. So I thought I'd go ahead and get another quick video up here. Hopefully it'll be quick and explain what's going on. The room from here, from this wall to this wall, is about 15 feet. From that wall to this wall is about 17 feet 9 inches. So it's a decent sized room, much larger than what I had before. So I actually sat while I was on vacation and drew up what I thought would be a decent layout. Double main line around the room, kind of around the room. So what I've got here is a 2 foot wide by 9 foot long section that is bolted to the wall, and I've got legs, L-shaped 2x6 legs on the front. 42 inches to the top of the bench work, and then I got to add the top to it. So it'll be about 42 and a half to 42 7/16, depending on if I use this OSB, which I've currently got sitting there, or if I go just buy all new tops and buy 1/2 inch plywood instead. I'm still debating on that. But what I've got here is this. What I mean by going around the room is where that wood ends right here. I'm going to build a section over to that edge of that, and then it's actually going to come over about 1.5 feet onto that, and there'll be kind of like a L-shaped, big fat L-shaped that'll come out there, and that's about 3 foot deep, and then it's going to be about 16 inches, 18 inches off that to make an L here, and then off this back it'll come out a 4x8 section, which will come out flush with the end of this. And I'm going to put a 3 foot section that's going to come over about 7 foot total to make an area that would run right here. But I'm going to go ahead and build a section, little section off this onto that 3 foot by 9 foot or 10 foot section, which will be up. So it'll come off, go over there, run down here, and I'm going to build a section off this that's going to come over about 4 inches off this doorway, and then come over, and it'd be even from here to there. That's going to be about 3 foot by 6.5 foot section, and then I've got about an 18-inch gap to get back to the 4x8. So when I start, it'll run this way, around through here, through there, around, over, back here, over onto the 4x8, and then it'll join back on for a complete around the room double main line layout. And then I'll have the 4x8 section, which will actually join the middle of the layout together. I'll have to duck under here to get into this section back here, and I'll have to duck under here to get into this section right here so I can access the layout. Everywhere will be within arm's reach. The furthest area I'll have to reach will be right here, which will be 36 inches to the back. I might have to put a step in there to get to the back on occasion, but everything else is going to be within arm's reach of standing in front of the layout. So I'm going to begin doing that. Like I said, I haven't decided whether or not I'm going to stick with the OSB top or if I'm going to go ahead and run a plywood top. I've never ran plywood. I've only ran the OSB. By 4x8 sheet of OSB is about $7, $8, where the plywood I think is around $20. So you can buy almost 3 sheets OSB for the price of 1 plywood. But I heard when I watch videos, I see a lot of people use the plywood. So I'm wondering if maybe the plywood is more user friendly for the trains, laying track and stuff. But that's the way it's going to run. That's the way I'm going to do my layout this way. Now, a lot of people on my last video sent me personal messages, emails to my inbox on my YouTube account, wanting to know what scale am I going to run, because I didn't even mention scale in the last video or the video prior to that. And there's a reason why. I ain't sure what scale I'm going to run. This bigger room, I was dead set on running in scale when it was in this little room in here. But now that I'm out in this bigger room, because that room's only 10 by 10, this one's 17 by 15, I can run either of the 3 scales that I like. If I run in scale still, which I have several in scale pieces that I've accumulated over the last 2 or 3 months when we found out that I was going to be into that room, I started accumulating a lot of in scale stuff, so I have a decent amount of in scale. If I run in scale in here, it'll obviously be still double main around the room. I'll be able to do a bunch of industries, a lot of nice scenery, and have a nice engine yard, engine shop, have a couple of nice, good, regular rail yards. And I'm still considering, and in fact, I know I'm going to, is back here in this corner, I'll probably have a tunnel port here and one over here that'll go through this wall and come into this room, obviously out right here, and I'm going to come back into a big staging yard right here for whatever scale I decide to run. HO, O, N, it doesn't matter. It'll work for all three scales, as will this layout setup that I've decided. If I run the N scale, I'm going to run Kato Unitrack. Whatever the largest scale radius curves I can get with Kato Unitrack, I would obviously use, because it would be unlimited on the radius I'd be able to run on them. I'm sure they don't make anything bigger, I think, than 28 inch. And then if I run 28 inch, I don't think they've got an inner one, so I have to look to see what radius I'd run on N scale. Now, I also have a lot of HO scale stuff. As you guys have seen prior videos, I have several. I've got about 25 to 30 rolling stock cars. I got a handful of engines in HO. So, and this would also run an HO layout. This would make a great HO layout with that track plan I just described. It would run anywhere from the 30 to 36 inch radius curves consistently around the layout. I would be able to, it would look good with that big of a radius. My engines would go around no problem. I'd be able to have engine house for it. I mean, I'd be able to, and I'd do the same with the staging in there. So I stage trains off the layout, bring them out and run them. It would be no problem to run HO. This layout design would also run O. I would be able to run an 072 main line all the way around the outer main line. And then my inner main line would be like an 063 on the inner curve. Then when it's an outer curve, like when it curves back through here and it's an outer curve, I'd have to run an 081 on the inner main because it's the bigger radius. But it would also work. Granted, the staging yard would be more used for the O gauge to keep the trains off the layout, because run the double main line, I'd only be able to get a couple of industries in here. And so it'd be less storage for freight cars on the layout itself because of the size of the scale, obviously. So the staging yard would be used a lot more for parking trains on it and staging them as compared to the HO or the O. But I'm just not sure what scale I would want to run. Like I say, I have several. I mentioned in my prior video that I went to Florida on vacation. Didn't really pick anything up trains down there because honestly, I just didn't go anywhere trains. I did a lot of golfing, and I didn't go anywhere trains. But before I went to Florida, I did do some shopping, and for O scale, I actually picked up this right here. It's a MTH Premier line, wide vision caboose. Very, very nice item. Indiana Railroad. I live in Indiana. I just love this paint scheme. This red stuff. Red paint scheme is just killer. I picked this up, paid retail for it. It was like $50 some, and I grabbed that. And then right before we went to Florida, because I knew when I came back it probably wouldn't be here, and my plans were to run an oval of O gauge around the room, around the top of the room, which still might be in the plan unless I run it on the main line layout. And then when I came back, this same train store that I picked this up at kind of worried me. I came back and I walked up the stairs to go up to the upstairs, and you go down the first aisle, and that's all his HO freight cars and stuff. And the shelves were he probably had 200 freight cars. Athearn Genesis, Athearn Ready to Roll, Bachmann, MTH. He had probably 200 rolling stock cars up there. And when I walked up those stairs on this past Tuesday, he had maybe 30 left. I'm like, what in the world? The shelves were bare. And then I walk around where the engines were, and he had about 45, 50 engines. He was down to about 15 or 20 engines. I'm like, what's going on? And I seen the guy I talked to, asked him what's going on. He said that they're getting rid of inventory. I don't know if they're planning. He wasn't sure what the whole deal was on it. But right now they have all their HO and their N scale at 50% off. I picked this up in N scale. It was $14, brand new in a box. I got it for $7 because it was 50% off. I grabbed this. This is a Lionel hopper, covered hopper, hopper, PS2 hopper, and retail on it was $59, 60 bucks, and 50% off that was $30. So I picked that up for 30 bucks. If I took more cash with me, I'd probably spent more cash, but like I say, I'm not for certain what scale I'm going to run. If I decide to run in, then, you know, that was a good buy. If I decided, then I'll end up selling it, and I'll still make money off that probably for selling it. If I sell it on eBay, you know, I only paid $7 for it. I'm sure I'd probably get $10 for it on eBay. So if I decide to run in on this layout, then I would keep it. If I decide to run HO, then obviously I would sell it and I'd run the HO. If I decide to run in or HO on the main layout and not O, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put like a drop down track around the top of the room here, and I'm going to run my O gauge on it. Because I really don't want to get rid of the O gauge, but I don't want to, because that stuff's so hard to sell. I mean, this, you put this on eBay, by the time you get that in a box, I mean, you're talking $12 to ship that to somebody. And with me living in Indiana, if it's got to go to California, you're talking 15, 18 bucks to ship that to somebody. So I'll probably end up keeping the O gauge and just run around the top. If I decide to go HO or N on the main layout. Now, I don't want nobody to get upset. I hate getting, a couple of videos I posted where, they get mad at me because all of a sudden I'm showing a different scale, and I actually got some pretty negative feedback from it on my inbox on a couple of prior videos where people were gotten upset and actually voiced their opinion to me about you're switching scales, I'm over this, I'm never watching no more of your videos again, I'm unsubscribing from you, and some of it was pretty wordy that, I don't want to repeat. So, and that, I understand, that's the way life is. I mean, you walk into a room, start passing $100 bills out to everybody in the room, and somebody's going to get upset because you didn't give them 200. It's just the way life is. So, just to kind of make things easier, O is staying for sure. If I have to run around the top of the room or make it the main layout, my O is staying. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you guys decide for me. I don't care what scale I run, HO, N, or O. I don't care. I want you down here at the bottom where you can leave feedback or comments, or you can send it to the inbox in the YouTube, or send me a personal message on YouTube, however you want to do it. Just comment on what scale you think I should run, or what scale you would like to see me run. If I get enough people say I want to see you run in scale, I'll run in scale on the main layout, and then O would go around I'd just have a big oval O going around the top of the room. If the majority of people want to see me run HO, then I'll run HO. I'll get rid of all my N, and I'll still run the O around the top of the room, or drop it down from the ceiling. If the majority of people say I want to see me run O, then the main layout will be O, and I'll get rid of all my HO, my N. Okay, so I'll let you guys decide for me. I can never make up my mind. I asked my wife, she's like, whatever one you want to run. Well, I want to run all three. I just don't have the space or the wallet to run all three because it gets expensive. So I'll let you guys decide what one. Just leave me a comment down there at the bottom. Say HO, N, O. If you want to put why you think I should run that scale, go ahead. It's free country. You can type in whatever you want. Just don't get all kind of nasty and stuff, because there are younger people that watch my videos and they don't need to be seeing wording that is offensive or anything. If there is anything offensive loaded, comment it down there. I will probably delete that comment because of the fact it doesn't need to be on there. If you can't keep it clean, don't comment. But that's why I'll leave it at that. It's a fairly long video. I'm going on 14 minutes now, a lot longer than I thought it'd be. So, but the layout is set. I'll let you guys decide what scale I'll run. I'll probably give it a couple of weeks, probably give it to the middle of August or something like that, maybe the end of August before I do, because it'll take me probably that long to get all the bench work fully up. And then once I get the bench work up, obviously my next step would start laying track, and by then I'll just make it a date. I'll say, let's see, what's today? Today's the 27th of July. Let's see, we'll give it 20. I'll go till August. Let's see, what would it is? August. I'll go to the middle of August. The end of the second week of August. Okay, that's about 2.5 weeks. And then I'll see how many comments I've got on scale wise. If I get inboxes, stuff sent to my inbox with scale, I'll add all them up, and we'll figure out what scale that you guys want to see me build. Like I say, it doesn't matter to me, but I've had a lot of people get upset on me switching around. So hey, I'll let you guys decide what scale I'm going to run. Until the next time, I probably will get videos put up showing the bench work being built. I'll probably put something up midweek. I do go back to work for the first time in 21 days this coming Wednesday. So I'm off the next weekend. So if I get more bench work up between now and then, I'll probably shoot another video this next weekend. I'm going to try to get more of them up more regularly now that we're into the house, because I know I'm not getting them up too quickly, but I'll hopefully get that changed. So for right now, this is where I'll leave it, and y'all have a good evening. Goodbye.